The rule set that I used in my 1 to 60 permadeath for my 3 other classes, I did a priest, I did a warrior, I did a rogue, and now I'm doing a hunter, was basically an emphasis on solo, which means you can't use the auction house, you can't use anything you would get from other players. The only gear you can use, you get either from quest rewards or from random drops. And I got like a random BOE blue wand on my priest. That was kind of lucky at some low level in the 20s or 30s or something, and that was actually pretty handy. But again, the chance of you getting that is pretty low, and you can't rely on that, so your gear is not going to be very good, right? And you might think, oh, you can use professions as much as you want, but you won't be able to grind up to 300 very easily, because again, where are you going to get the money and gold from? You could farm it out, but then you can't use the auction house. You could try to get some skill to max, like mining or something, or engineering, but you would have to go to high level areas and put your life at risk, your one life, to be able to do that. And finally, you can't use mains or any sort of, you can't mail gold from a main or anything like that. It's totally in a vacuum single player experience. So everything you're going to get just from the journey, quest, or drops. Specs, you can do anything you want with. The one rule with regard to classes was you can't use any revival abilities, because obviously that would get broken. There was kind of some debate I had about it, but if you make a warlock, you can't use the soul stone, because then every 30 minutes you'd be safe. So that'd be kind of bullshit and make it too easy. Or the Ankh even, right? You could just don't go into combat unless you have the soul stone up, and as soon as you die and use it, you can just wait 30 minutes before you would spawn in the same spot. So there's a little bit of intricacy to that, but still, it would make it way too easy. There was some people who said originally, oh, you should do it so that you get to use it once, like every warlock gets one soulstone their whole life, or gets one Ankh their whole life for a shaman, just to give it a sense of class identity. But ultimately I decided against it, and I didn't do either of those classes. But just as a rule set, you wouldn't be able to do that. And this is all self-enforced too. You don't need a mod or anything. You're just doing it, if you die, it's over, that's it. You delete the character. And there's no rule against like going in dungeon. So if you're like a level 30, 40, and you want to try to do dead mines to get some piece of gear that might make it easier, you can. But then you're putting your life at risk in case something screws up, or, whether it's really worth it or not is up to you. You can use all the resources, but you have to use them yourself. You obviously can't have people carry you. You can't group with people. None of that. And so then you'll realize a lot of the things we regard as easy as the player base aren't really that easy, because now your gear is all whites and garbage stuff for a while. And you're not going to have twink gear or a ton of gold. And any gold you get, you can only use in NPC shop. So it creates a whole nother layer to it. Out of the 3, definitely Warrior was the hardest, because you have less outs. You have your little shout. But then beyond that, if you aggro 2-3 enemies, that can almost get you killed right there, right? You don't have any easy escape. The rogue was the easiest because you can just vanish whenever you're in trouble. The only thing that'll put a monkey wrench in that, which almost did get me killed once, was I had a dot on me and I forgot that it had like one more tick left or something, and then I would have been screwed. But I still got out of it by sprinting and stuff. But other than that, you can use vanish as an easy out of almost any situation that might get you killed, and just wait if you're really paranoid for it to come back up. And then finally, the priest wasn't too bad, but it was kind of slow and boring. Even slower and more boring than it might be to level a priest anyway. But it's a good excuse to put, I always wanted to get every class from 1 to 60, which I still haven't done. I've only done it for those, that plus a mage was my original character, and I'm doing a hunter now. But yeah, it's a good excuse to do that, and even to get immersed in the world. Like, I'm reading a lot of the quest text that I never did before. I've done some of the stuff on Horde that I never did before. But that's the real point. It's not really even about the permadeath or trying to prove something or use a mod to show, look how good you are. There's always some ego thing people have to appeal to be able to be motivated. But it's more just about the experience, that filling in the holes of what you maybe never did before, even as much as you play the game. Play the other faction if you haven't, or read all the quest texts, or try a different spec, or play a different class that you never played before, different race. That's the point, is it brings out the immersive element that's already there. You don't need to do a permadeath run to enjoy it, like the leveling experience, but somehow people need that kind of structure. Otherwise they just go straight for the min-max absolute mindset.